Shalom. Welcome to today's Deep Dive. I'm your host, and I'm so thrilled to have you joining us.
And I am your resident expert, ready to get into the weeds with this one. It's a really fantastic topic today.
It really is. We're jumping right into a question that I think every single person listening to this has wrestled with at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
It's one of those universally difficult, almost heavy questions, but we're approaching it today with a very relaxed, genuinely joyful energy.
Yeah, we're keeping it light, but going deep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's because the material we are unpacking today, it's a short, highly reflective piece titled Finding Joy in the Light, and it offers an incredibly uplifting perspective.
Really reframes things in a way that it kind of catches you off guard.
It does. So the mission for our deep dive, the question we are exploring with you today is this: how is it possible to be happy when life is undeniably hard?
I mean, it's the ultimate human dilemma, isn't it?
It really is.
We all hit those walls. We all go through seasons where the circumstances around us are just heavy.
So heavy.
And the usual advice we get, it often feels a bit, hollow.
Yeah, but trite, like a bumper sticker.
Exactly. So what we are doing today is looking at a perspective shift. We are going to challenge the baseline definitions of what it actually means to experience a positive state of mind.
Especially when everything in your immediate environment seems completely negative.
Right.
And the author of this piece, they offer a fascinating clue right out of the gate. And it's a linguistic clue, actually.
Yeah, this part is so interesting.
It's about why we so often misunderstand what we are even looking for in the first place. We tend to use two words interchangeably in our daily lives: happiness and joy.
We treat them like they're the exact same thing.
We really do. But the premise here, the big hook of this text, is that the feeling we are usually out there desperately chasing is just temporary happiness. Mm-hmm. Whereas what we actually need is a much deeper peace, which the source categorizes as joy.
We really do treat them as synonyms in English. Mm-hmm. If you ask most people, they would probably say that joy is just a slightly more intense version of happiness.
Like happiness on steroids.
Right. Like if happiness is a 7 out of 10 on the mood scale, joy is a 10 out of 10.
That's how I've always thought about it.
Most of us do. Mm. But what's laid out here in the text is that they aren't just different intensities on the same scale. They are completely different categories of human experience.
Different categories entirely.
Yeah. Happiness is described as an inherently temporary, reactive state.
Okay.
Joy, on the other hand, is framed as a profound, durable peace.
I want to linger on this for a minute because this distinction, the semantic divide, it really is the foundation for everything else we are going to talk about today.
It's the core of the whole argument.
It is. And the author uses a really memorable piece of wordplay to illustrate the difference. The quote from the text is this: happiness depends on happenings. Joy depends on Jesus.
That phrasing, it really forces you to stop and look at the actual semantics of what we are saying.
Happiness depends on happenings.
Look at that word, happenings. It points out that the root of happiness is quite literally tied to what happens to you.
The happenstance.
Yes. It requires, as the author puts it, meeting good things.
So to put that in everyday terms for you listening, if I hit all green lights on my morning commute.
Yes.
Right. Or if my boss praises my work in a meeting, or if I just find a $20 bill in an old winter coat pocket.
The best feeling.
The best. Those are positive happenings. Therefore, I experience happiness.
Exactly. You are reacting to the good things you met. But let's look at the glaring vulnerability in that equation.
There's always a catch.
There is. Because if your internal state is entirely reliant on your external happenings, it makes your well-being 100% conditional.
It's entirely reactive.
Completely reactive.
But wait, let me push back on that a little bit.
Sure.
Because isn't it completely natural to want good things to happen? It almost sounds like, we're saying it's a bad thing to enjoy a smooth commute or a promotion.
Oh, no, it's definitely not a bad thing. Enjoying good circumstances is wonderfully human.
Okay, good. Because I like finding $20.
We all do. The issue isn't enjoying the good happenings. The issue is making those happenings the load-bearing foundation of your peace of mind.
Ah, the foundation.
Right. If happiness requires meeting good things, what happens when you inevitably meet bad things?
You crash.
You become a hostage to your environment. If your baseline requires a totally cooperative universe, you are signing up for a never-ending emotional roller coaster.
Because the universe is, notoriously uncooperative.
Notorious.
That is such a relatable kind of exhaustion. For you listening, think about those days you wake up feeling great.
The sun is shining.
Right, but then you spill coffee on your shirt, or you get an aggressive email from a client, and suddenly your happiness is just gone.
It just evaporates.
Evaporated, yeah, because the happening was bad. You're just at the mercy of chance.
Which brings us to the alternative presented in that quote we just talked about. Joy depends on Jesus. Now, by shifting the anchor from external happenings to a specific internal relational faith, the foundation of well-being is completely redefined.
So it's an internal shift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Joy, in this framework from the text, isn't circumstantial, it's unconditional.
Unconditional.
It fundamentally shifts the origin of your peace from external events that you cannot control to an internal anchor that doesn't change based on, the morning news or your bank account.
So for you, the listener, if you are navigating a really tough week right now, this is actually incredibly validating.
It really takes the pressure off.
It does. It means you can stop feeling guilty or broken when a bad situation ruins your happiness. That is just the fragile nature of happiness.
It's doing what it's designed to do.
Right. It is supposed to break when the happenings are bad. But there is an invitation here in the text to access a completely different kind of peace.
A peace that isn't vulnerable to your commute or your boss.
Exactly. And I think that leads naturally into how we conceptualize hard times in general.
Yeah, how we talk about suffering.
When people talk about choosing joy during difficult seasons, I don't know about you, but it can sometimes sound a bit like toxic positivity.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
You know the vibe. Someone telling you to just put on a fake smile and pretend everything is fine when your world is literally falling apart.
It's the good vibes only culture.
Oh, I can't stand that. It feels so dismissive of actual human pain.
It does, and it's not helpful.
Yeah.
But what's really compelling about this specific framework from our source today is that it doesn't do that at all.
It acknowledges the pain.
Yes. It uses a really evocative weather metaphor to explain how this actually feels in practice.
I love this metaphor.
It suggests that true joy is not the absence of clouds. Instead, it is the deep conviction that the sun is still shining behind those clouds.
That is such a powerful visual. You aren't denying the clouds.
Not at all.
You aren't pretending the storm isn't happening right above you.
Right. You are fully acknowledging that life gets overcast. The clouds are real, the fog is real, the darkness is real.
You don't have to pretend you enjoy the rain.
Exactly. But the joy comes from a cognitive and spiritual conviction about what exists beyond the immediate visibility.
So you aren't denying the clouds, you are just remembering the sun.
Yes.
And this is where things get very practical in the text. The author actually offers some actionable advice for those moments when you're just feeling utterly exhausted by the overcast skies of your life.
Because that exhaustion is real.
It is. It's about how to, and this is a quote from the source, ignite that little spark in your heart.
I love that phrasing.
Me too.
Yeah.
And the very first step offered to ignite that spark is incredibly blunt. It simply says, do not look at the environment.
Which, if we're being completely honest here, sounds completely counterintuitive at first glance.
Right. It sounds a little crazy.
We are biologically and psychologically conditioned to constantly scan our environment.
Especially when we're stressed.
Especially then.
Yeah.
When things go wrong, we assess the threats, we hyper-focus on the problems, we stare right at the storm.
It's a survival instinct. If I'm caught in a storm, my instinct is to look at the dark clouds and figure out how to not get struck by lightning.
Naturally.
Telling me to take my eyes off the environment feels almost irresponsible.
It definitely feels that way. But the advice here is a deliberate withdrawal of your attention from the immediate negative circumstances.
A deliberate withdrawal.
Yeah. And the reason you can afford to do that, the reason it isn't actually irresponsible, is based on this incredibly comforting assertion from the text.
Which is,
even when it's completely overcast, grace is still operating.
oh man, grace is still operating. That really is a stabilizing thought.
It changes everything.
Think about being on an airplane that's flying through heavy turbulence.
Okay, yeah.
You are inside a thick gray storm cloud. If you are a passenger and you only look out the window at your immediate environment, your senses are telling you that the whole world is nothing but chaos and shaking and gray mist.
It feels like everything is falling apart.
That is a perfect analogy. If you stare at the mist, you panic.
Because the mist is all you see.
But the reality is, the mechanics of flight are still operating. Gravity is still operating. Aerodynamics are still functioning.
The rules haven't changed just because you can't see them.
Exactly. The sun is still up there, doing its thing, completely unbothered by the temporary weather system you happen to be flying through.
And the pilot isn't looking out the side window at the clouds to fly the plane, right?
Right, they are looking at their instruments.
Which are tied to a deeper, unseen reality.
That's exactly the logic here. By advising you to stop staring at the clouds, the author is making an invitation to stop letting the temporary happenings dictate your entire reality.
Because the grace, the sun, the deeper mechanics, these things are constant.
They don't just pause.
Right. They do not pause their operation just because your current vantage point is obscured.
But practically speaking, how do you do that? Like, if I'm standing in the rain and I'm actively choosing not to stare at the puddles and the gray sky, what am I supposed to be looking at?
It's hard to just stare at nothing.
Right. You have to look somewhere.
That's the crucial pivot. And it leads right into the second actionable step from the text. Seeing hope.
Seeing hope.
You don't just empty your mind. You redirect your focus toward the permanent reality behind the temporary storm.
Okay, redirecting.
And this brings us to what might be the most paradigm-shifting idea in this entire piece.
Yes, this is the moment that really made me stop and reread the section when I was prepping for this.
It completely flips the script.
It does, because we usually think of joy as an end goal. Like, joy is the finish line.
The prize at the end.
Right. We tell ourselves, once I get through this hard time, once I graduate, once I get out of debt, once this health crisis passes, then I will feel joy.
We treat it like a reward for surviving the hard thing.
Exactly. We treat it as a destination, but that's not how it's defined here at all. The piece explicitly describes joy as the fuel of the soul.
Calling joy fuel completely changes how we interact with it.
It's so profound.
If joy is a fuel, it is not a destination you arrive at. It is the combustible energy required to make the journey in the first place.
Wow.
It is utilitarian. It has a specific functional job to do inside you.
Let's really break that down for the listener, because if joy is fuel, it is exactly what gives you the tangible strength to, as the author puts it, go further.
To keep moving.
Yeah. When the happenings in your life are absolutely draining your tank, when you are exhausted and the clouds are thick, a fleeting moment of circumstantial happiness isn't going to help you.
It's not enough.
You need fuel. You need a rich, combustible energy source that allows your soul to keep moving forward.
And this highlights exactly why it matters so much to understand the difference between happiness and joy.
The semantic difference we talked about earlier.
Right. Let's say you try to use circumstantial happiness as your fuel. What happens?
You're going to run out.
You might get a burst of energy when something goes right. But the moment you hit a patch of bad weather, the moment a happening goes wrong, your engine stalls out.
You have no gas left.
Happiness is like trying to sail a boat by relying purely on a sudden, unpredictable tailwind.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
It's lovely when it's there,
Yeah.
but you absolutely cannot rely on it to cross an ocean.
You'll end up stranded in the doldrums the second the wind dies down.
Precisely. But joy, because it is an internal conviction that grace is operating and the sun is shining regardless of the weather, is a stable, reliable fuel reserve.
It's an onboard engine.
Yes, it is the very thing that propels you through the hardship, rather than something you only get to experience after the hardship is over.
I think that's why the text points to a very specific ancient piece of wisdom to anchor this whole concept.
It's a scripture reference.
Right. In a section of the piece referred to as Ignite Gold, we are pointed toward a quote from Philippians chapter 4, verse 4.
A very famous verse.
It reads, "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice."
When you really look at the phrasing of that, it is incredibly audacious.
Almost offensively so if you misunderstand it.
Right, because the key word there is always.
Always.
Rejoice in the Lord always. Now, think about that in the context of what we've been discussing today. If you are operating under the assumption that joy and happiness are the same thing, that command is absurd.
It's ridiculous.
It really is.
If someone walked up to you while you were going through a profound tragedy or dealing with a severe illness or watching your business fail,
Something truly devastating.
right, and they told you to be happy always, you would think they were completely out of touch with reality.
You'd want to slap them.
You would. You can't be happy about a tragedy.
You can't, and you shouldn't try to be. It is psychologically and logically impossible to be happy about everything that happens to you.
So what is the verse actually saying then?
Well, the command isn't be happy always. It is rejoice.
Rejoice.
It is commanding the activation of that deep internal joy, that soul fuel we've been talking about.
Activating the fuel.
Yes.
Okay.
And notice how it explicitly ties it back to the relational, unconditional aspect we talked about earlier. Rejoice in the Lord.
Ah, there it is.
It's not rejoicing in the circumstances. It's not rejoicing in the happenings. It is rejoicing in the anchor.
It's drawing energy from the fact that the sun is still there, even when the immediate happenings are incredibly painful.
Exactly. And look at the repetition in that quote. I will say it again. Rejoice. Why do you think that repetition is necessary?
Because we forget.
We do. We are so forgetful.
We are easily distracted. When the clouds roll in, the thunder is loud, the lightning is scary, it demands our attention.
It's human nature to look at the storm.
We get consumed by the environment and our tank starts to drain. So we need to be reminded forcefully to shift our focus back.
It's a wake-up call. I will say it again. It implies that this isn't going to be a natural passive reflex.
You have to work at it.
You don't just accidentally stumble into this kind of profound joy. It is an active posture. You have to consciously choose to ignite that spark.
Because the default is staring at the clouds.
Right. And because true joy isn't tied to changing, unpredictable happenings, it is literally the only positive state of mind that can be maintained always.
Because the source doesn't change.
Exactly. You can always believe the sun is there, even in the darkest night. You can always tap into that soul fuel, even when you are physically and emotionally exhausted.
That brings such a profound sense of relief. You don't have to wait for the storm to pass to experience a sense of well-being.
You don't have to put your life on hold until your circumstances improve.
You can access the fuel right now, right in the middle of the difficulty.
It builds a framework for incredible emotional resilience. It fully acknowledges the pain and the difficulty of the present moment.
No toxic positivity here.
None. But it maintains an absolute quiet confidence in the overarching grace that is still operating behind the scenes.
Still operating.
Life is hard. Temporary happiness won't sustain you because it relies on luck. Therefore, the logical move is to look past the immediate environment and use that deep relational joy as the fuel to keep walking.
We've really gone on quite a journey today exploring this.
It's a lot to process, but it's so rich.
It is. We started by looking at how fragile and unpredictable circumstantial happiness is, how it leaves us bouncing around, completely vulnerable to daily happenings.
Just waiting to see what the day brings.
And we've moved from that fragile state all the way to understanding the durable, utilitarian nature of true joy. We've learned that we don't have to stare at the heavy clouds because we have the quiet, powerful conviction that the light is still there.
And more importantly, that light isn't just a comforting thought, it's the actual energy source that gets you through the day.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up our time together on this deep dive, the author actually included a built-in moment of reflection that we want to pass directly on to you, the listener.
That's a great exercise.
It's an interactive question. I want to ask it to you right now. I encourage you to just pause wherever you are, whatever you are doing, whether you're driving or washing dishes or just sitting quietly.
Just take a breath.
And really reflect on this. What is the one thing that makes you feel most grateful today?
And as you reflect on that gratitude, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, building purely on the logic we explored today.
Jump and take with you.
If happiness is just waiting around for good things to happen, but joy is the actual combustible fuel of the soul that gives you the strength to keep going.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, are you currently just sitting around waiting for the weather in your life to clear?
Yeah.
Or are you actively tapping into the fuel that is burning brightly right behind the clouds?
What a powerful question to carry with you. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. Keep seeking that light. Keep fueling your soul. May the Lord bless you.